It is a time for another Athletor Podcast. David McFadden. Dude, first of all, I mentioned it off air, but thank you for – athletes can be flaky, and you were here early, and it's appreciated.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having on me. Yeah, you're not early, you're late, right? So gotta always be a little early, at the least on time, but I consider that late. So
I agree. All right. So you said you're busy with coaching and training, and you got a lot going on. It is not typical anymore to wrestle at a level that you are and to split coaching duties as well. What went into that thought process? I know you love coaching. I know you do. Like, we've spoken about it. Like, you've kind of got the coaching bug, but you got to be, you first sometimes too. So where does that line go, and how do you draw that line?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to managing your time properly, right? Is you got to kind of, like, I lay out kind of my schedule at the beginning of the week, and it's like, all right, we're practicing here, right? Obviously my practice comes first with my team, the RTC, right? And then it's like, okay, you kind of start working backwards, or like, what time are we going to lift? What time am I going to work individuals with guys? Like, so as long as I like have this set schedule, throughout my week, like, I'm able to manage it. Sometimes I get a little tired, right? And, I'll sneak a nap in here and there. But once you kind of get into that routine, you kind of just, it's kind of like clockwork, right? And, I love coaching. I love helping out. I'm an assistant coach and competing full time. And I'm also a coach at the All I See Is Gold Academy, which has been, just really, really awesome, getting to coach alongside with Jordan. And, that's just been, working with those kids. And that's kind of what I went to school for, right? My major in college was human development. So I was around like a lot of like, young kids, and also just being in the camps, right? At Virginia Tech, like, we'd have our summer camps where we'd stay down there for, all of July, right? And we'd have high schoolers, little kids come in, and, I kind of always really had passion for working with, like the middle school age kids, right? And, I really like that age for some reason of just, helping them develop, right? Because they're kind of –
hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I gotta stop you there. I didn't realize I loved working with middle school kids as well. Why do you like – because it probably is different for me, I would think, but why do you like working with that age group more than, let's say, high school or even college?
I think they're like innocent, right? They're like kind of pure hearted, right? They're all there to learn. Like, I love, like, so at Jordan's Club, we have the Golden Nuggets, which are only on Sundays, right? And this is like, we're teaching them like more like footwork and positioning, right? They're like, probably about 6 years old, right? So a lot of time it's
they're
like
babies, right?
Yeah, we're like playing games and stuff and just keeping it fun for them, right? And then we have the mini gold, which is probably 8 to 10 range, right? Mm-hmm. Where, we got some pretty good kids, right? But to kind of keep their attention for an hour, right, can kind of be difficult. And then we have the high school at night, which is obviously high school, but then in between we call it the youth elite, right? And this is like anywhere from probably 4th to 5th to 6th grade to about 7th to 8th, right? That middle school gap. And, we have some guys, man, where I'm like watching them, I'm like, man, these guys they have it, right? And I just think it's really cool working with them, right? Because they're just so pure, right? They're there to learn, right? We have, some kids will stay, right? Our sessions run an hour and a half, and, we have like a core group of probably 5 or 6 guys that'll, do double sessions every time we have club, right? Which is like what I did as a kid, right? I always wanted to be around the high schoolers, right? It's like, and that's what I think really jump-started me at an early age. So it's really cool to kind of see them and, hey, we're going to do this practice, and then we're going to do another one, right? So they're on the mat for 3 hours a day. And, man, I get tired watching them sometimes. I don't go 3 hours anymore, right? But it's cool. It's cool because I think back to my club days, right, of, training under Coach Buxton and, being able to walk into a room at that age, right, is kind of daunting, right? It's intimidating.
Sure. Sure.
And, you know, I give kudos to our high school guys, right? They take them right under their wing, right? And I, you know, preach the message that, hey, these are, you know, you need to carry yourself not only as wrestlers, but as men and women, because these are, you know, you're their role models, right? And they do such a good job in the club of just, you know, helping them out. And, you know, it's one of those things that it's really, really fulfilling as a coach, and, you know, just seeing the smiles on the kids' faces, right? And it's always been one of my like dreams to kind of, you know, be involved in the club, right? And I think back to my days as a club of how influential, like how much of an impact Coach Buxton had on me, right? Like I probably, if it wasn't for his club, I probably wouldn't have wrestled at Virginia Tech, right? Because it jump-started my development, right? Being on the mat with Joey McKetta, Jordan Cutler, right? All these other Blair guys, right? And I was going up. My high school coach he was awesome, right? And he kind of saw that I kind of had the talent at a young age. So when I was a freshman in high school, he would let me go up to Blair Academy twice a week, miss my own practice. Just, hey, you know, my dad would pick me up from school, right? So I had this relationship probably from like 7th, 8th grade with Buxton. And then, you know, he kept the door open for me, you know, even though I didn't go to Blair Academy. And then,
yeah, that's important, right? Like giving you that type of flexibility and that type of freedom.
Yeah.
Not many high school coaches can put their ego away like that, you know?
No, Buxton, he's awesome. I still have an unbelievable relationship with him. Like, and, you know, my dad always, right, my dad wasn't a wrestler, right, but he was, you know, he knew. My dad never really pushed me early. Like I kind of had that, like, I want to get better, right? So he was just like, you can never be the best guy in the room, right? And so, right, he'd send me off to Blair. And then when Buxton opened his club, it was my junior year of high school. So now he opened up a club 30, 40 minutes from my house. I mean, I was on the mat with him and Joey McKenna like 4 nights a week. Him, me, Joey McKenna, Jordan Cutler, right? We were all just because we were all friends, right? Like, you know, Jordan and Joey are like 2 of my best friends, right? And they just happen to be pretty dang good at wrestling too. So,
but that's, you say that, right? But like, you gravitate, not just you, but we gravitate to like-minded people, and like, I don't know about you, but it was very difficult keeping friends that didn't understand that, like, I got to get rest. Number one, I got to get, you know, I got things to do, man. I got to lift. I know it's inconvenient right now that my buddies want to go hang out at whatever, but I got to go lift. You know, it's much easier to keep friends that are high level or like-minded at least. So yeah, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Now, I want to get back to something that you said earlier. 3 hours a day on the mats for some of these kids. Here's what I'm finding, okay? When I was growing up, it was not uncommon to have kids go 2 sessions, 3 hours. It was not uncommon, right? Like, a lot of people did it. And then for a while, it was like, all right, get your 90 minutes in and then get out, right? And that's it. But what I'm seeing now, because now as I'm kind of getting more into this P&L thing and I'm talking to some of the coaches, and they're doing an amazing job at kind of opening my eyes to how everybody else kind of does things and how there's probably no right way or wrong way. But Askren said to me, or I think it was just to the group really, it was like, yeah, my high school kids right now can still go 3 hours a day. And here's why. We didn't kill them when they were 10. We didn't kill them. They just had fun on the mat when they were 10 years old because it didn't really matter. But they enjoy being, and maybe we don't go super hard for 3 hours. Maybe we just kind of play wrestle a little bit. But yeah, my kids can go for 3 hours right now. And the guys at Pinnacle will be like, no, there's no chance of that. We lost half my kids to football because, you know, we pushed real hard when they were 8, 10 years old. And now they're, you know, we lose them for the ball because they want to play football. And I get that. Right. So where do you stand on that? Because obviously the Pinnacle guys it's working out for them too. They've got a bunch of world champions, like age level world champions, more than anyone else in the country. So it's working out for them. But where do you stand on that? Do you, if you had to do it again right now, would you lean more towards volume in reps, or would you lean more towards 90 minutes an hour?
No, I mean, right, there's no right answer, right? Like you look at a program like Iowa, right, and Penn State, they've been number 1 and 2 in the country for what, the last 10 years, right? And, you know, I've never been in their rooms, but by their style and from things I've heard, right, I think they run 2 completely separate, you know, ways to run their program, right? And I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong, right? They're both, you know, they both are phenomenal programs coached by Olympic gold medalists, right? So I don't think there's one right way to get there, right? But it takes a certain type of kid with a certain type of style and a certain, you know, drive, I think, to do that, right? And I think when you're doing the double practices is like, for me, I loved it because like you said, if I was doubling up, I wasn't doing an hour of live wrestling, right? No. And then take a little break, go in the other practice in an hour where you just run your body down, right? And I think one thing that, you know, me and Jordan are finding, right, is like, you know, we got to keep it fun for the kids, right? Like, and the one thing about like, right, our core group that ends up staying for the next practice, they love wrestling, right? And we try and make it fun for them, right? Like we'll start out with a game, right? You know, some other things where it's like the 3 hours, I hope for them goes by, you know, relatively quick. And they want to be there. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Their parents aren't forcing them. Well, a lot of times, like they're not forcing them, but a lot of times, right, they're coming with an older brother, right? Or so like now it's like, okay, if you're driving 30 minutes away, well, now your older brother's coming to the earlier session. And now
but they could be on their phone going around on TikTok during that time. They could be, right? Yeah. Like you would see a lot of kids do that, right? But you got these kids that are wanting to get on the mats. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so you so it's right. They're like, so the youth elites practice is from 6 to 7:30 and the high school 7:39. Well, a lot of these guys, right, they carpool and stuff. So it's like you're there already, right? You're gonna be there for another hour and a half. It's like, what do you want to do with your time, right? And we never like if you're here, you have to wrestle, right? They want to. And I think that's the biggest thing. And you're seeing it now, right? With these clubs. Like you even like I saw Askren at the foul, right? He's got 2 high school kids wrestling in the foul. Like these kids at a young age are incredible right now. Like we are in the golden age of wrestling, right? I've never, especially as USA, right? We're killing it at age level world championships, killing it on the senior level, right? It's just, we're in this golden era of wrestling. And I think a lot of it has to do with the club scenes growing up, right? You see like a Bo Bassett right now, like killing college kids, right? As a sophomore in high school. It's incredible, right? And then Marcus Blaze knocks off not, you know, an All-American. He knocks off the #1 guy in the entire country, and he's not even a senior in high school, I don't think, right? So you're seeing, right, this RTC development and these club coaches where these kids have access, right? Every time we go to Colorado Springs, right, there's, you know, the Bo Bassett, you know, type wrestlers there that are exposed to these senior level athletes, which is incredible for them. I think it jumpstarts your progression. Now it's like, can you, you know, not overtrain and
you sustain it
now through college and senior level, right? Like we're going to have to find out because I never wrestled in a college tournament in high school. I never, like, that was never an option, right?
It wasn't on my radar. Right. No, for sure. But these kids are good. These kids are really, really good. And I think, and Joel, you can kind of chime in on this too. I think, because Joel and I talk to people every week, and we're all seeing the same thing. The U.S. is killing it, like you said, and a lot of it, I think, comes down to professionalism in coaching at a youth level. I don't know if you know this, but 25 years ago, there's no chance that the greatest wrestler in the world, period, the end, probably of the last 30 years, Jordan Burroughs, there's no chance that he opens up a youth club. There's zero chance.
Yeah.
Okay. He definitely would have gotten into college coaching immediately. Yeah. Okay. But we're in a day and age where Jordan, like, let's look at the team. right? Let's just look at the team. David Taylor and Jordan Burroughs have the most gold medals on that team. They both have youth clubs.
Very successful clubs.
Very successful youth clubs. I don't think that that's going to stop anytime soon. I really don't. So now there's this high-level interjection of high-level athletes interjecting themselves as coaches at a youth level. I think the sky's the limit, no?
No, I agree, right? And like I said, right, coaching club is some of the most fun I've had coaching wrestling. And I think, you know, this is what I'm trying to figure out when I'm done competing. Like, what I'm always going to be involved in wrestling, right? But now I'm trying to figure out what level of wrestling and what am I going to gravitate to? Because I also, right, I went out to the U23 World Championships and Coach Doug Zaff, and then me and Joey McKenna helped assist Coach Slay at the Bill Fowl, right? And that was super fun, like coaching the highest level of wrestling, right? Yeah. So it's, you know, it's like I think that's one of the cool things, right? Is, you know, I'm trying to put myself in the position so when I finally hang up my boots, right, I'm going to have options to kind of, you know, figure out what I want to do, what life after my competitive career looks like in terms of, you know, coaching wrestling.
Makes sense.
You've got so much experience coaching at so many different levels. How has, you know, if it has at all, your different levels of coaching impacted your ability to compete currently? Yeah.
So it's definitely like one thing I've noticed, right? If you look at kind of, right, like I'd call it data, right? You look at the last, right? I'm going on year number 4 on the senior level. Right. If you kind of look at my, you know, track record, I guess you call it, right, is what I've noticed is like, you know, kind of during the college season, right, my results are a little bit down. Right. And I don't know if that's necessarily correlated, but right, I think the unselfishness, right, is like, I care more about trying to help these guys reach their goals. I don't necessarily want to say that like, oh, I'm, you know, kind of, I don't care about me, right? Because I do, right? This is my job. My job is to wrestle, right? But I think a lot of times, right, I have trouble sometimes of managing my schedule, even though I do a pretty good job of it. Is like, you know, one thing that I've noticed is, you know, let's say in January, February, right? It's like I'm going from this tournament to this tournament, then I'm getting on a plane and going to Turkey, and I haven't had time to spend with my wife, and you know, I haven't been home for 3 weekends, and now I'm gonna be gone for a week and a half and then come back, and I got to go, you know, jump right back into it. Where if you look at my last 2 US Open results after the college season, right, I won it and I took 3rd. So I think that's one thing that going into this year, I'm very, very aware of. And I'm very grateful that our college coaches are so good with our schedules, right? Sure. They're not like, you know, you're here to coach. It's like, no, we want to accommodate you as best as you can while you still help our guys, which is, you know, a huge part of like why I wanted to be a senior level athlete, right? I necessarily didn't want to jump right into coaching away, but I still wanted to help. And, you know, with the PRTC, we have 2 college programs, right? Penn and Drexel. It's like, you know, their donors want to see, right? Our donors want to see the college program succeed just as much as they want us to succeed. And right, it's part of our job is to help them. And I'm fortunate to be, you know, in a weight class where on both programs, we have really, really talented college wrestlers that I really enjoy wrestling with, and, you know, kind of take them under my wing and be a mentor to them.
Yeah. So you said it, man. You know, and this goes back to, in my opinion, this goes back to us being in the golden age of U.S. wrestling. A guy like you who, you know, doesn't have 4 NCAA titles under his belt is winning the U.S. Open and competing against, you know, the likes of Vincenzo, who does have a few NCAA titles under his belt. He's got 2 and 4. I think he made 4 finals, right? And he's competing with, and you're beating these guys. What does that say about the level of RT, or what the RTCs have done to the level of this sport in this country?
Yeah, it's incredible. I truly believe that the reason why USA Wrestling is so strong right now is RTCs, right? And, you know, you look back to, right, the early 2000s where your only training opportunity was to either like be a college coach and just train folk style wrestling, right? And like just so you could get your workouts because you needed a job, right? Or it was to live at the OTC, and you know, I don't think they paid their guys there, but you had free housing and free meals. Right. And it's like now with these RTCs, like we have the ability to kind of choose where we want to live and where we're going to be the happiest, where we're not like, all right, like I have to move to Colorado, right? I'm an East Coast guy, right? I love Colorado Springs. I think the USA Wrestling, like Joe Russell and Bill Zadek, they do an unbelievable job managing, right? I mean, we've won the last 2 years, and this year it wasn't even close. I don't even think last year was that close, right? We're at this level, but with RTCs, right? Like for me, Philly, my wife is 40 minutes. Her parents live 40 minutes outside the city. My parents are 2 hours away. They live up in North Jersey. So it's like, I'm like, whenever I need to go home or see them, right, I can just jump in my car and I could drive there and come home in the same night, right? I have a full-time freestyle coach who's an Olympic gold medalist, right? And I think this is a huge part. And, you know, we have to do our best right now, I think, as a collective, right? With, you know, there's probably only a few programs in the entire country that are going to be able to deal with NIL and RTC, right? But it's like if RTCs go, like you'll see a decline. There's no doubt in my mind. You'll see a decline. And I think why we're so rich in wrestling right now is because of these RTCs. And obviously I'm going to fight for them, right? Because I'm not the athletes, but right. If it's like your money's going to go to a college kid and then that's what's crazy, right? Is I think about it, it's like some of these, you know, I don't know what guys are getting, but you know,
you got an idea.
Yeah, I got an idea.
We all got ideas,
I mean,
but we're all hearing the same numbers floating around, and they're not small.
I mean, I lived so broke in college. It was crazy. Me and my best friend Cody, we would have a little jar on the end of our table, and we'd just throw our loose change with it by the end of the week, and end up collecting like $10 and hit the grocery store. Like we were like that broke in college, right? We come from like blue collar backgrounds. It was like the last thing we're gonna do is ask our parents for money. It's like we're gonna find a way to figure it out, how to, you know, live and still train. And you know, we had a meal card, but eventually it ran out, right? So it was like you kind of find a way. And you know, I just think RTCs are so valuable, not only to the college guys, but you know, to USA Wrestling as a whole. And you know, we're not making what these college guys are, which is, you know, crazy. But it's like, would you rather invest, you know, half of what you're going to give a guy for 1 year? Or would you rather invest in a guy like me that's, you know, going to be there and, you know, is going to almost be a player coach, but also, you know, kind of.
It's tricky, McFadden. You know, it's tricky. It's tricky, man, because those donors, they're what we have to remember is they're donating to the uniform first, right? Like they want to see the college uniform, the college singlet successful first, generally. Now there are exceptions, I would assume, but generally they're going to want to see that college program thrive first. And I think it is going to be real interesting in the next 10 years to see how this all shakes out. Now, do you see and again, we're talking, if we don't know specific, I have not seen a contract, but you're hearing the same numbers that I am, and they're upwards of $250,000 for a year for an athlete in a college room. Okay, and sometimes
what these football players are getting, it's
bro, I don't even want to know. But from what I understand, the highest paid NIL athlete is a female gymnast who has a monster following on Instagram.
Yeah, she's actually from North Jersey too, which is
of course she is. Of course she is.
Jersey breeds the best people. Come on,
of course. I wasn't going to get into it with Joel Shaw on the line, but yeah, as long as you bring it up, yeah, she's from Jersey. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you see this bubble bursting anytime soon? Are these numbers inflated? Are they going to go down, or are we just going to see them go up and to the right for the next 10 years?
I would think the NCAA would probably nip it in the butt, but they kind of opened this can of worms, you know, which is like they've opened this big can of worms that it's like I feel like they don't even know what to do, because essentially how I viewed, and it's crazy because one time in college I posted a picture of myself wearing a Virginia Tech singlet and was like, hey, I'm going to be up in North Jersey from these dates if you want to contact me about a camp or a clinic.
No, can do.
Make ends meet, right? And I get called in like to the human resources department like the next day. It's like, hey, you got to take this down. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm just trying to make. They're like,
you're selling the school.
Image and likeness, right? And I'm like, man, like what? Like this is crazy. And the way I thought NIL was supposed to work would be like, let's say I'm, you know, in college, right? And, you know, a company like a Rudis or a Nike or an Asics, they reach out to me, like, they're like, hey, like, we think you're really marketable, like you're doing great in college. Like we want to give you, you know, $1,000 a month and you have to post on Instagram X amount of times. And, you know, we just want you to wear our stuff. Like I was like, okay with that, which is like, yeah, you should be able to, like, if a brand reaches out to you, rep it. But now essentially, right, with this, like, that's how I thought NIL was supposed to be, right? It's like, oh, like,
you're adorable.
Yeah. Like, right? Like, let's say, like, for instance, like a Zion Williamson when he was in college, right? He was the best player, you know, probably in any sport, right? And it's like, you know, okay, Nike reaches out to him and they're like, hey, we want to get on you early, almost like a Michael Jordan situation, right? Hey, we want to get on you early before anyone else gets you. Like, we want you to sign, which you should be able to, right? It's like, okay, I want to make money, like support. But now it's just like, hey, here's a nice big bag of cash or something. And whether how long that go, right? It's just gotten taken so out of context with, you know, everything. And I mean, I'm not like, maybe if I was in college making $100,000, yeah, sure, I'd be like, yep, NIL is great, right? But I think the biggest thing that, you know, I rely on is loyalty, right? Is, you know, I love Virginia Tech, right? I loved my time there. I loved, you know, Coach Roby. You know, Coach Roby was, you know, he was an awesome coach, awesome guy, right? And it's like, if someone threw me a bag of cash, right, I would, you know, think that, no, like, I'm going to stay loyal to this program, right? But I didn't get thrown a bag of cash, but, you know, I went to Virginia Tech not because they were paying me. I went there because I loved the school. I loved the school spirit there. You know, I loved the coaches, and I loved the team, right? Like, you know, those are my best friends, right? They were in my wedding, right? Those are guys, like, no matter, money can't buy that, right?
Right. But here's the thing though, man. There are guys like you. There are. Parker Keckheisen has been offered money to go somewhere else, and he has not gone.
Yeah.
That shows a tremendous amount of integrity. But it's really difficult because Parker's coming from a blue-collar background as well. You're passing up life-changing money, dude. Let's call it what it is. It can change your life. $250,000 at 18 years old, properly invested, or not 18, but 22 years old, properly invested, could make you a lot of money.
Yeah.
For the long term. Do you blame these kids?
No, 100%. No, like, you see some of these guys, right? They All-American or something at a smaller school. It's like they're doing what's best for them, right? I'm not like, oh, you have to be loyal, this and that. Yeah. No, you're doing what, like, look, you graduate, you have a year of eligibility, you want to go test the waters. It's like, and you're going to make money. It's like, yeah, how can you blame these kids, right? I mean,
hard.
I wasn't in that boat, right? We didn't have anybody. You think a guy like, think about how much money, like, you know, like a guy like Mark Hall missed out on, right? He was probably, I think, when we were in college, right, he had the biggest college following, right? He was a marketable right? Like, you know, I'm not even saying like people giving him cash, like he would have made money. People would have reached out to him, you know, he would have did it the right way. And, you know, but I can't blame these kids. Like, why would you pass up on that opportunity?
Hard, man. It's really hard. We talked to Freyer, right? And he's like, I got to re-recruit my athletes. Think about that. I have to recruit athletes that are already in my room every year.
Yeah. I mean,
Bryce Andonian, Mekhi Lewis, I have to recruit them.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, I think, like, right, I don't know. Like, I really don't know the rules on it, but, like, I'd be, like, something okay with, like, an incentive base. Like, hey, if you're an All-American, we're going to give you, I don't know, $10,000. You win a national title, we're going to give you $50,000. Like, if there was, like, rules and, like, stipulations in place, like, that's one thing that, you know, I love about my contract at the RTC, at the PRTC, right? It's like if I make a national team, if I make a world team, if I win this, right, I get an added bonus, right? And I'm not saying money's the most important thing, but it's nice, like, hey, like, we're going to give you a raise because you did good in your job, as if you were the, you know, go from a VP to a CFO in a company, right? It's like you're going to get a raise, like, oh, you made national team, we're going to bump you up. Oh, you made a world team, we're going to give you a little more, right? And it's like, sure. I mean, I don't know if I thought I vaguely remember, like, NILs be like, it can't be incentive based. I think I saw this one football player, like, got a $2 million NIL deal and was like, all right, I'm out. Like, because he's just like, I'm done. Yeah. Because it's like, I have the money, and it's like,
now what? Yeah, forget it. Why would I go bang heads for 2 years?
And I think that's what, like, right, like, my favorite sport to watch is college football. I love it, right, because I will watch a college football game over the NFL because they play for their team, right? They play for their school. They play for each other. The NFL, it's like, whether I'm not feeling great today, I'm still making $50 million a year. Like, I'm too valuable, right? But, like, these college players, they play way harder. But now it's like you take you make it professional, where if it's like, well, you know, I'm making, let's just call it $2 million a year, and, you know, I'm not feeling good this game, I'm going to go into the NFL draft. Like, I'm going to save myself. It's like, no, like, when I was in college, the amount of times I wrestled hurt because I did it for my team and I wanted to be out there, you know, it's like, you're wrestling healthy, but 5 years of college wrestling, you did something wrong or really, really right, you know?
One or the other, right? Were you recruited by Dresser?
I was, yeah.
What was that like? He seems like probably one of the best recruiters in the game, huh?
He's a professional. I mean, I love Dress, right? Like, I still have a great relationship with him, even when he left. Like, I actually went out when I first moved to Philly. I went out and trained with David Carr for a week, and he's always asked me to come back, like, you know, around the same time. And just with my schedule, it kind of gets busy, but, you know, I have a great relationship with Dresser. If you were his guy, right, he rode for you, and he put his head on a limb for me a few times, and was always trying to, you know, make sure we were taken care of. And, you know, I have nothing bad to say about Dresser.
No, not only like so, but here's the thing: people that aren't close with him, didn't wrestle for him, weren't around him very much. Those are the only people that talk shit on him. Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. From every account that I've heard, he is ride or die with his athletes.
Ride or die. And loyalty. And, like, that's one of the biggest traits you can have, you know, is he's loyal, right? And I say he's loyal, right? And then 2 years later,
no, but I get it, but, like, that's smart, right? Like, that you gotta be intelligent too.
He was going home, right? And I understood that. I'm like, you're going home, man. Like, look at what you've done with this program. Virginia Tech was about to be cut from the NCAA, and he saved the program. You know,
a high school coach saved the program.
Him and Roby took Virginia Tech from, how many teams are there in the NCAA? 72. I think they finished 72nd at the NCAAs, right? We won a team trophy when I was there my freshman year. Like, that's incredible. And look at what he's done at Iowa State. Right? He took over the program, a blue blood program that, you know, wasn't good when we took it over. I think they finished in the 50s, and you know, they're a top 5, top 10 program. And it's
are they going to beat Iowa this Sunday?
I mean, I'm a root for Dresser. It's going to be, I mean, man, it's going to be crazy. I'm jealous. Jordan's going to be on the call.
He's on the mic, dude. I'm fired up about it.
I wish you brought me out there. I should have called Dresser and been like, hey, bring me out this week to train, man, and get me mat side tickets.
I tell you what, it's going to be, Ames is going to be fun. I think I saw something today where Iowa has won the last 18 matchups, and I think this might be the Cyclones' year, man. I got them on paper right now at winning 18-13 or something like that. But dude, it should be a ton of fun in Ames this weekend, and it's on ESPN, and Jordan Burroughs is commentating, and it's a big deal, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome for the sport, right? It's like, and that's one thing that Dresser is the best at, is he's the best marketer, right? It's like he's the only one that could pull that off. It's like we had, I don't know if you've ever been to the Moss Arts Center in Virginia Tech, right? It's this giant music, like just arena, and he was just like, let's throw a wrestling mat on there. And now Virginia Tech has wrestled there every year, and it's like one of the coolest places you'll ever see. It seats about 2,000. It's loud because it's made for like music.
Right, the acoustics are loud.
It's just awesome, and it's like, right, he's a great recruiter. He's a great, leader of a program, and there's no secret to why Virginia Tech, him and Coach Roby were able to bring Virginia Tech essentially out of the gutter, and you see what he's done at Iowa State, right? And obviously this is a big duel. I think it came down to the last match maybe 2 years ago, and I want to say it was super close last year, right?
Super close, yeah.
So maybe this is their year, right? I haven't really looked at the matchups. Who knows what I was gonna do? Like they got guys shuffling in and out. So but Coach Brands, right? He's a world-class coach. It's like that guy doesn't like to lose, right? So
no,
pulling some strings. He's gonna be pulling Ben Cooter off the football field the rest of the
That kid's good.
Man, yeah, he's talented.
Hey, you've talked a lot about loyalty, both as an athlete as well as a coach. And we're living in a time with NIL where loyalty is not necessarily on the top of the list of what people value. How do you think you would go about building loyalty to a program, to a coach, to an athlete? What are some things that jump out to you?
Yeah, as we talk to our club kids about this, right? It's like, we live in a time too where people want to, come in the club for a little bit and then kind of jump and just almost like sniff their nose in and see what these guys are doing, right? It's like when you got Jordan Burroughs and Dave McFadden like running a club, people kind of get a little bit curious, right? And like, we haven't really seen that much in our club, but I know like when I was in college or when I was in high school with Buxton's, right? When Buxton opened up the clubs, right? We get guys like coming in and out, and I'm sure like every club deals with that. And I just think, right, it's like if you're going to wrestle for someone, you wrestle for them, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to wrestle because this is what fits me. I wanted to wrestle for Coach Dresser and Coach Roby, right? I trusted them. Those guys rode for me, right? And they kind of built that relationship. I think the biggest thing I've noticed with coaching is you have to build this trust, right? Like I trust Coach Slay with everything, right? I foresee myself wrestling one more cycle after this with no one else in my corner other than Coach Slay, right? Because I built this relationship with him where I trust him. He's helped me so much, and he's a leader. He doesn't just come in and show me wrestling moves, right? He talks to me about life, right? I'm recently married, right? And I'm new to it, and, just picking his brain and that, and, surrounding myself, like Mike said, with like people that are going to support you and kind of be on this mission alongside you. You can't do this, can't do this alone, right? You can't do it without a coach. You can't do it without teammates. You can't do it without your family. You can't do it without a support system. No one's ever strayed this far off the path and it's like, I'm going to coach myself. I'm going to wrestle myself. Are you going to wrestle the Adam dummy in the room? So I think, right, like when we're, talking to our club guys, when we have these recruits coming into our campus, it's like, look, like, do you want to wrestle for us? Like, we're going to build this relationship and we're going to care more about you than if you're just winning for us. And I think that's really important, like, is, being able to go out for coffees with like guys on your team and, guys where you're coaching, just be like, hey, is everything all right, man? Like, how's everything going? How's school? How's, your home life? Like this and that. And I think that's when you really start to see these gains, with these college kids. It's like, man, these guys like really, really care about me. I trust them, because if you don't trust your coach, and he's showing you single legs, it's like you're not going to trust that the way he's teaching you is the proper way. So I think.
So you think that trust bleeds from personal life to the wrestling now?
Yeah, 100%. If Coach Slay like never checked up on me or never asked me, oh, how's everything going? It was just like, hey, get in here and you're going to drill 100 high crotches and 100 single legs. It'd kind of be like, oh, like, okay, right? But it's like because we have these relationships, because we're so close as an RTC with each other, we all trust each other that, you know, when you're in the fire with these guys, like, you know what we're doing. We're training the right way, and, you know, we're going to do some really great things together. And now, you know, we're going to pass this on to the next generation and kind of pave the way for them, you know?
Okay. We're starting to run out of time here. 86 for the trials.
Yeah. 86. 74 is out of the question. I mean,
you mean 6'4" and 163 pounds doesn't work out? Okay, got it.
It's crazy though. I mean, right? Like 79 to 86 is a 15-pound jump, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it seems like if you're gonna add a weight, right? Like obviously I'm biased because I wrestle there, but like I'm a big 79 kilo, but it's like I'm the perfect size for it. But yeah, it's like my body feels good right now. I was bummed I couldn't compete at the fair. I was dealing with like a little tweak, nothing major, but with the open 3 weeks after, it's like, let's just be smart. You know, my body feels great right now. I mean, I walk around about 86 kilos like normally, and, you know, instead of like trying to get up to 200 pounds, like I'm going to wrestle where I feel the best at. And so, yeah, you know.
And then after Paris, back down to 79. Yeah.
So my plan is to go back down to 79 after Paris and, you know, compete one more cycle. And then 2028, right? It's like, you know, if I could lay out my master plan, it'd be win the 3 world titles and then win an Olympic gold in 28, right? If that was like, this is what, if I could predict the future and this is what I would want for my future, right? And, you know, kind of ride off into some sunset in LA. But yeah, I got to make a decision in 28, like whether to go up or down, right? This year, 86 makes the most sense. But for my last year, you know, we got to, you know, 4 or 5 years away. But, you know, it's
all right. Hold on. I don't even let's get through this cycle first, because the thought of you even considering going down is bananas to me. But okay, I'm not even going to broach that. Okay, let's run through some quick ones here, brother. What's the greatest wrestling shoe you've ever worn?
Ooh, greatest wrestling shoe I've ever worn.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Dang, honestly, I'm wearing these right now. I got them on Amazon. They're the A6 Mag Controls. They were like $60. I'm talking like bang for your buck, like, and they were delivered the next day. Thanks, Jeff Bezos. But I paid like $60 for them. They were shipped the next day, and like they last, and they're great shoes.
All right. Can't hate on it.
I guess that's a good one.
That's very good. If you were to build a wrestler from scratch, would they be strong and powerful or long, lanky, and flexible?
Long, lanky, and flexible. Those are intangibles.
He says as he's a 6.
You can always get stronger and more powerful, but you can't get more. I guess you technically could get more flexible, but if you just have that natural ability, yeah.
Okay. All right. Magic wand. You've got a magic wand. You can wave it and you can change one thing about wrestling. What would it be?
Freestyle wrestling.
Oh, another one.
Like out folk style. I would have said the 3-point takedown, but they've already done that. So I'll just say go over the freestyle. I just like watching freestyle a lot more. And plus then, because you know the match is only going to be 6 minutes regardless. Like some of these overtimes, man, it's like a challenge brick. Then it's a 2-minute period. Then another minute.
Somebody starts bleeding.
30-second goes. It's like, it's too long.
It's too much. It's too much. 6 minutes. Ended on criteria. I like it. Okay. Who is on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
How many what is it, 4?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go JB. That's my guy, right?
Love that.
I'm gonna say Kale probably, right?
2 more. Uh-huh.
Oh man, I gotta think 2 more. I mean, oh man, like I'm trying not to go too recency bias, right? Like, I think a guy like, you know, Kevin Jackson was an Olympic champion. Kenny Martin, right? But
all right, so
David Taylor and Kyle Snyder, but then you have like this Amit Allure who's just
we're aware of how difficult this is. That's why we ask it. Getting the first 2 is always easy.
Yeah,
it's whittling it down to 4.
Who did I say for my first 2? JB and Kale.
JB and Kale.
Bo Bassett.
Man, love it.
I don't know.
I'm not letting you off the hook, McFadden.
I'm gonna go. I'll throw Helen on there.
Okay, I like that.
I'll get a women's wrestler on there, and then you know I got 2 freestyle. I got a women's wrestler, and I'll throw a Greco, so I don't get hate from anyone. You got to go Rulon Gardner, right?
All right, Rulon, Olympic gold medalist, Rulon Gardner. All right, Joel, you got anything else for McFadden before we go?
No, thanks so much for coming on. How can everyone find you?
Not my address, but you can find me on social media.
Don't give out your address on the internet, please, knucklehead.
I'm sure Michael will post my my handles on Instagram. I haven't been very active on Twitter. I just like scrolling through because my Twitter feed, man, some of the stuff you see on Twitter, I'll just sit there and I'll just start cracking up. I'm like, how do people even think of this?
Social media is a strange.
I think it's like David _McFadden. It's nothing flashy.
All right. McFadden, you're the best, brother. Always a pleasure to speak to you. I'll catch up with you next time, man.
Appreciate you guys. You guys have a great rest of your weekend.
Later, brother.
Thanks, David.